Yo, what's up guys, it's Tom and welcome back to a brand new video and the finale of my Mick Schumacher career mode here for Season 1 at Abu Dhabi. And first of all, a little bit of disclaimer, I'm jumping straight into the race because I lost the footage. I already recorded this race once and I lost the footage of me recording the qualifying and the entire race, which is really frustrating. Recording replay accounts, my game just crashed and then for some reason I couldn't stop recording. So that basically, I had to just hard shut off my PC because I couldn't stop recording. So that eventually meant that I would actually lose the qualifying footage along with the original race footage. So I've had to re-record this race for you guys, and unfortunately because of that, it's obviously auto-saved into the race straight away, not the qualifying session. So what I'm going to show you today is the race, but I can tell you that Mick Schumacher qualified in P3, and he'll be starting the race on super soft tyres instead of ultra soft. So a very competitive qualifying session. The man are working very nicely around this circuit, and Mick doing a really good job with the Manor car to get himself in P3 on the grid, qualifying in Q2 on a slightly slower tyre to have the benefit of that in the race. Going a bit more conservative on the tyre choices in the race strategy today, opting for a super soft strategy. That's going to be the game here today. No ultra soft use whatsoever in the race because they're a tyre that doesn't really work around here, and also there's a possible tyre glitch. So Mick's got his work out. Rosberg starts from P2, so it's going to be a very tasty one here for the battle for runner-up in the World Championship. So let's jump straight into the race. Right, here we go then. 5 red lights for the final time this season, and it's going to be lights out and away we go at Abu Dhabi. And it's going to be a pretty poor start from Mick Schumacher, a good start from Nico Rosberg, trying to get the inside of his teammate into the first corner. Side by side, both of the Mercedes into the first corner here, but Hamilton just comes out on top of his teammate. Meanwhile, Mick's just sitting behind the pair of them, waiting for the chance to strike. Obviously, the Mercedes cars are on ultra softs, whereas Mick is on super softs, and also he's in a manner whereas the Mercedes is the best car on the grid. So right now, the performance difference is quite big between the two cars, but Mick's going to try and stick behind these two guys, because if you can get onto the straight and pick up the toe, then it's anyone's game, especially in this Manor car, which is a rocket ship in a straight line. So here we go then. Onto the straight for the first time this race. Rosberg picking up a huge toe on his teammate Lewis Hamilton, and if Rosberg gets ahead of Hamilton, I'm going to have to respond, and Mick's going to have to try and get past him. So there you go. Rosberg goes up the inside. It's going to be 3 wide almost into the first brake zone on the first lap, but Rosberg decides to go to the inside and hold them, and they go 2 wide through there, but then there's contact between the two Mercedes. That's going to allow Mick Schumacher to get around the outside of the pair of them, and they've both tripped each other up, and that's allowed Mick to get into the lead of the race here. And a very, very smart, tactical, intelligent driving there from the German driver, who he could have gone for the 3 wide into the brake zone, but instead opted to stay behind the pair of them, and instead you saw the incident happen right in front of him, and that allowed him to make the move. But then moving on to the end of lap 2 onto the start of lap 3, Mick's pace is pretty okay, setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. The Manor car and both of the Mercedes are pulling away from the rest of the pack, but Lewis Hamilton is the man who's fastest right now. But Lewis is going for a bit of a different strategy, because at the end of lap 3, Lewis is going to come in for his first stop of the race. So Lewis Hamilton going for a different strategy as Mick sets the personal best lap of the Grand Prix. But we have to keep an eye on Hamilton, because obviously his strategy now is different to the rest of us, and also Rosberg is staying with us here. So we have to keep an eye on things and developments in this Grand Prix as we now come into the pit lane for the first time in this race, and there's a speed limit of 80, so be careful there as you enter the pit lane. And Mick's hits marks beautifully, and now it's a long drive towards the end of the pit lane here. So we'll see how this one unfolds, but Mick's going to come into his pit box. Rosberg pit the lap before, so those guys, the Mercedes guys, making the ultra softs work quite nicely, but Mick's going to switch over to the planned soft tyre, which is going to be the longer, sort of more conservative tyre strategy to avoid the tyre glitch and also get to the end on tyres safely. So he's going to rejoin. You've got a car on the outside there, I think it's Kvyat. Can he get ahead of him just on the exit? Yes, he does. So Mick crucially comes out of Danny Kvyat ahead of him, and he's now got Nico Rosberg ahead, who's behind Fernando Alonso. But Alonso actually got overtaken by Rosberg, and at the end of that lap, Alonso will actually come in for his first stop of the race. So that's going to promote Mick Schumacher back up into P3, and that meant that P2 now has also got another car in the pit lane, and now Mick is going to try and hunt down Nico Rosberg. Obviously Lewis, who went for that early pit stop, is he's gone onto the soft tyres, but he isn't as close as he was before, so he must have lost a bit of time, maybe come out a bit of traffic, because he did pit very early. But now skipping on to lap 12, and we've got a yellow flag for some reason up ahead, so maybe something's happened with Rosberg's car. I mean, I can't see anything because he hasn't broken down, he's still going round, so maybe something's going on behind me, I'm not sure. But either way, Hamilton's still in 3rd place as we go through the hairpin now. There's Rosberg, he's going slow, and I think, yeah, Rosberg's got a puncture. Nico Rosberg has a puncture in the last race of the season. So I can't show you replay cams because I also lost the replay cams because of an issue I had after the race. So just take my word for it, Rosberg had a puncture. But that's a big game changer here for the championship, because that's going to mean Rosberg is going to be severely far down the order now. That's going to promote Mick Schumacher up into second place in the championship in the runner-up position, which would be absolutely fantastic considering he's in a Manor car. But now, a few laps later, Lewis Hamilton has decided to step up the pace and as the world champion really make his presence felt, and here he is now on the same tyres as Mick Schumacher, a couple laps older though, but he's still got the pace. The fact he's in a Mercedes car, and he's made the move on Mick Schumacher into the chicane. But now Mick's going to pick up the DRS on the return straight here. He's going to dummy to the left and then go to the right around the outside. Can he pull it off in the brake zone? Hamilton's really good on the brakes there, but Mick tries to go around the outside. Does he pull it off? Yes, he does, and holds on to first place beautifully there through the chicane, sort of like the Singapore sling back in the day, but the inverted order. But really good stuff so far, and Mick doing a stellar job in the Manor car to try and battle with the Mercedes cars. And now lap 14, a little bit of a dummy when it comes to defending, but Lewis Hamilton goes to the outside, squeezes Mick onto the apex slightly, but Mick's going to get the switchback as Hamilton runs it a bit deep onto the right hander, and that's going to allow Mick to pick up the traction and also open up the DRS on the back straight. And is he going to get ahead of the Mercedes? Yes, he does. He just powers past around the outside, and the straight line speed of the Manor is no match for even the Mercedes around this circuit. And Mick retakes first place and holds on beautifully to the position. But a couple of laps later now, at the end of that lap now, Hamilton, as you can see, and a couple of corners later, at the end of that lap, Lewis Hamilton comes in now, and he's going for a different strategy. So he's going to switch on to his super soft tyre, I believe, and then he's going to have to do one more stop for ultra soft. So Lewis is doing 2 more stops this race, whereas Mick is only doing the 1, which he's going to serve now at the end of lap 19. Lewis' pace has been absolutely monstrous on the soft tyres. You can see he's back into second place, and he's really pushing hard now. And Mick's going to come in for his final stop of the race onto another set of super soft tyres. So now it's the time for Mick Schumacher to push once he rejoins the track on these Red Bull super soft tyres. So it's going to be a very tasty final stint. It's going to be a battle for the race win between Mick Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton, because you have to think that Lewis on the ultra softs at the end is going to be very quick in those last few stages of the Grand Prix, especially because he's in the Mercedes and he's the world champion. So he's going to be wanting to end the season off on a high note, so we're going to have to keep an eye out for that one. But here we go then. Mick rejoins in P3 just behind Sebastian Vettel, who's on the soft tyre, worn soft tyre. So this should be a fairly simple overtake for the German once he catches up to his fellow countrymen, and indeed that's the case as we go into lap 21. And now Mick is right behind Sebastian Vettel, a personal best first sector, and now he's going to pick up the DRS on the back straight here, and it should be a fairly comprehensible overtake here as he now opens up the DRS. And here we go, he's picking up the toe on Sebastian Vettel, and here he goes, he's going to dummy to the inside, pull to the outside, and look at the straight line speed difference, get it also down, bang on the 100-meter board, down a second gear, pull it down for the apex, and that is the move done and dusted up into P2. So that's him past Sebastian Vettel, and he can now try and focus on Lewis Hamilton now, who is obviously going to have to serve. He's pissed off at ultra soft, but meanwhile Sebastian Vettel still not done yet, and he's actually going back up the inside on them soft tyres. He's made a great move on the brakes, and Mick's going to have to try and match him around the outside, and he just gets it around the Singapore sling there. But Sebastian Vettel not quite finished there with the move, but eventually, just because of the fresher compound tyres, Mick makes the move stick there. But now at the end of lap 22, Mick's going to come across the line and set a pretty competitive personal best lap of the race. Lewis Hamilton is still staying out for another lap though, so interesting strategy there from the world champion. But now at the end of lap 23, Lewis does come in for his ultra soft tyres, so this is when it's going to get interesting now. Mick sets yet another personal best lap of the race, knowing that Lewis is going to be on ultra soft, so Mick's got to try and get the gap out, because Lewis is going to be very fast at the end of the Grand Prix. And now as we cut on to lap 25, one lap later, Lewis is making the moves on Ricciardo and Vettel behind, who are the two guys who are batting, and now Mick gets all out of shape through turn 3, and that's going to cost him a heap of time. He gets all out of shape again through the exit of turn 4, and that's going to put Ricciardo and Hamilton right on the back of him now, and a big mistake here from Mick Schumacher, obviously trying to push the Manor car to its limits and trying to get the gap out to Hamilton, and he's made a severe mistake again into the hairpin, allowing Ricciardo up the inside. Obviously a little bit of grass still in the tyres, which isn't going to help him, and now Ricciardo's made the move. He's going to also have DRS, and here comes Lewis Hamilton on the ultra soft tyres, and look at the speed in the Mercedes car. Mick's going to try and pick up the toe on Ricciardo and try and return the overtake, and he does make it work up the inside of Hamilton, just about locking up the left front side by side through the chicane. A little bit of contact, but then he gets the traction, but Lewis is right on the back of him on them fresh tyres, and he's going to open up the DRS here. Mick's going to cover the inside, but Lewis still goes to the inside line anyway. Incredibly ballsy stuff there from Lewis, and also Ricciardo's having a look up the inside. Mick has to go around the outside of Ricciardo and defensively brake, and that's going to allow Lewis Hamilton into first place, and now you have to wonder, can Mick possibly keep up with Lewis Hamilton on these worn tyres, and Lewis being on them super fresh ultra softs? And moving on to the end of lap 26 now, Lewis has an incredible lap time. Mick still does the personal best lap of the Grand Prix, but he's just nowhere near Lewis's pace, and that is pretty much going to relegate him to P2, and it's pretty going to be his finishing position for the Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton's going to come home. The world champion himself is going to finish the race and finish the season off on a high by winning the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Mick's going to come home in second place. Crucially though, it's going to mean runner-up in the World Drivers' Championship for the Manor driver, and you have to wonder now which teams are going to be lining up for him for a possible drive for next season, because Mick has been absolutely fantastic this season, and getting second place in the championship and bringing the Manor from one of the worst cars on the grid all up to the second best car is absolutely incredible achievement. And the rumours are still in the paddock that Manor are still severely in debt and they could be folding, even though it's a brilliant second place for them, the drivers, and a fourth place in the constructors. So big problems at Manor HQ, but we'll have to wait and see how that one unfolds in the next season of season 2 of this season. But as you can see, Lewis Hamilton wins here at Abu Dhabi, and I do apologise for the slow frame rate, but this is the reason why I didn't record replay cams, because I was locked onto 25 frames per second and it looked really strange. So I'm only showing this because obviously this is the end of the race and this is always things that I show in the end of the video, but the replay cams are just too poor to show you in 25 frames per second. So as you can see, here's the final celebrations with the champagne on the podium. Lewis Hamilton winning the final race, and Ricciardo, the man running off the podium in P3 there, the Honey Badger himself, doing a good job of beating Sebastian Vettel there. But overall, that's going to be the end of the season here. And as you can see, the final race results for the final race here, obviously the top 3 consisting of Lewis Hamilton, Mick Schumacher, Daniel Ricciardo on the podium, and then the best of the rest, obviously Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen, Esteban Gutierrez. They're getting a really impressive P6 there, with Valtteri Bottas and Van Dorn. Also, they're getting good results with Perez and Raikkonen down in P10. So disappointing with him, with Pascal Wehrlein way down in P12. So very disappointing race for him, considering he qualified in P7 there. But looking at the final race, at the final driver's standings, as you can see, Lewis Hamilton obviously won the championship back in Mexico. This confirms Mick Schumacher finishes runner-up in the season here, with Kimi Raikkonen in P4, and then Daniel Ricciardo in P5 ahead of Max Verstappen, and Sebastian Vettel down in P8 there. Very shocking result there, and Ferrari having a season to forget there. Also, Pascal Wehrlein down in P12, so not too bad from him there. But you have to wonder, obviously, if Manor are ending next season, where will Pascal be in the 2017 season? So we'll have to wait and see how that one pans out. But overall, those were the final driver standings, and now I'm finally going to just jump over to the constructors. And as you can see, Mercedes AMG Petronas win the constructors championship obviously by quite a bit. Red Bull come home comfortably second, with Ferrari just about getting third place. If Pascal maybe got a few more good results, it could have maybe been a Manor third place, and maybe that might help them in terms of their current financial situation. But overall, it's Ferrari P4, Ferrari P3, Manor P4, and then Williams in P5, just jumping Force India in the last race of the season. And then the best of the rest there was Sauber finishing at the bottom of the pile. But we've now got a bit of a message from PR Agent regarding a possible contract offer.
Do you have a minute? It took longer than I hoped, but we have offers. Take a look. Great. I'll get it processed.
Well then, so there we go. Mick Schumacher signing on the dotted line for Force India. So you have to wonder, obviously, if Manor are struggling financially, Mick's just wanting to get out of the sinking ship just in case, and he's signing for a team that, you know, they just lost to Williams just now in the constructors right at the end. But you have to wonder, obviously, Force India, a team with good promise, and they're promising big upgrades for the 2017 season. So it should be a very exciting one, and hopefully season 2 in the 2017 season is just as good as season 1. Hopefully with not as many missed episodes and recording issues. Wink wink. But hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you did, then leave a big thumbs up on the video for your support. I do apologize for the ongoing issues throughout the entirety of the series. Like I said before, just one of them things, you know, maybe someone didn't want the series for me to happen, and I didn't mod it the best. It wasn't my cleanest job of modding, so a few issues there. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video nonetheless, and have enjoyed the entire season. If you did miss any of the previous episodes, there's a link to the entire playlist down below in the description. But also, if you guys did enjoy the video, then a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. Let's see if we can try and maybe hit 100 likes. That'd be absolutely fantastic if you guys could do that for me. Also, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. I've got a brand new career mode series starting very soon. Season 3 of career mode is back on the channel, and obviously you have to wonder what team I'm starting for, so keep an eye out for that one. But nevertheless, guys, I thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.